Hey everybody, this is Dean Marino One here, and I'm here with my friend Grandpa Jack, and we're here to discuss our newly acquired podcast known as Koalified. Yes, we mean the animal koala, and don't ask us why it's a koala because we're not really sure ourselves. It's just something that kind of like popped up. Okay, so basically, our podcast is just about everyday life and how our experiences changed from when we were younger to however old we are now. Because sometimes we forget because we're mostly fucked up all the time. All right, so Jack, tell me about all your experiences with what we went through ever since we became good friends.
Oh man, the friendship started on the Crees, right? The baseball team.
Oh, way back in the day, man.
Way
Good old
back.
Little League
That
baseball,
that
man.
that could have been like what, 8 years ago?
Oh, was it really that long ago, man? Where you,
No,
I will never forget
no,
it.
no.
You hit the walk-off home run in the
Oh,
championship game
off
to
off
end
of
it.
Cisco.
Oh my God, how could I forget, dude? You were the
Man,
all-star amongst every man I knew at that
in
time.
that was a game I'll never forget.
Well,
I
I go,
s-
dude. Whenever you hit the game-winning home run, like of course you're gonna like remember that for the rest of your lives. Like
Do you know how long it took me to find that ball? I searched for like 3 hours to find
man,
that
I
ball in
would
like in
encrust
the
that
river.
thing in like fucking solid gold, man. I would not get rid of that thing.
I have that thing right on my bookshelf in a nice case.
I like all my game balls I won ever since I was younger, and like I put them in a
Yep.
nice case, and then like I started playing baseball again, and like I would go outside and like play with them and lose all of them.
No, you can't use the game balls for like everyday
Dude, I
recreational
did, and I
activities.
lost every single one except for my like when I was in fourth grade, the All-Star game ball. Mr. Turner gave it to me. I had like 5 strikeouts when I was pitching. I went 4 for 4.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then that was like the mark of my like hot streak ever
Dude,
since.
I'll never forget the time I went to a Yankees and Mets game and batting practice. Mike Piazza tossed me a
Oh.
ball. Oh
No way,
man,
dude. Mike Piazza was such a dominant catcher.
dude, he really was. And like now it's just nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
Like
like
I
what
would
happened
stop
to
Mike
Mike
Piazza,
Piazza?
I'll get him grab a slice of pizza, watch Piazza. Like
Dude, Piazza's like too old school. Like, wasn't he like all doped up on like steroids and shit?
he most likely, but isn't everybody in baseball these days?
Well, that's what I heard, but like that's the reason why I don't respect baseball as much because like people are just like abusing the system.
It is, and they get paid so much. They
Dude,
get paid obscene amounts of money, like more than like baseball or basketball, which are clearly more physical sports and like more demanding on the body.
exactly, man. And think about it. What do like baseball players do that's more important than like the everyday man?
Oh,
Because
like absolutely
yeah,
nothing.
exactly. Like they're playing to try to like appease a crowd that's like behind the TV, but they're not like seriously doing anything that's helping out the world, you know? Whereas like someone who's like an accountant for like a big business is like probably helping them strive in some way that's like trying to help out the university.
Right?
Dude, like the
Why don't
accountant
like
for like
why don't 100,000 people show up to watch an accountant crunch some numbers?
no, dude, like how about 100,000 people show up and like become an accountant and help out other businesses to help out America's finances and
Yeah,
get
we
the
like
economy
everybody needs
rolling
to come
again, dude.
together in this time of recession.
Exactly, dude. Like, I don't think people realize that the only way to get out is to spend more, but you have to do that in like a smart fashion. You know, you can't just go out and like buy a house on credit and then be like, oh, well, I can't pay this off, but you can't kick me out of this house because you're gonna be homeless. You know,
Of
what
course.
I'm saying,
No,
like
I
build
don't
smart
believe
credit,
in
dude.
God,
Like
but
buy
like we
small
are founded
things.
under the belief of one nation under God.
One
We are
nation,
one nation. We are all in this together.
exactly. Like
Why are we acting so selfishly and individualistic?
exactly, exactly, man. Like the middle class and the lower class are grouped in the same like general group, but if you think about it, the lower class is kind of like in it by itself because we're not helping them out at all, and no one's helping us out. So we think like, oh, we can't help out the lower class, but like it's a chain reaction. Like in the end, only the upper class are winning because we're still getting shit on as well. Nothing's really improving for us. Like gas prices are going down a little bit, but they're still obscenely high. People think because it's 320 is low, but think about it like 3 years ago to the day. Like it was like solid 240s, and I think back to
It
those
had to be
days.
longer than 3 years ago now, right? Because we just started being in the recession in 2008, right?
Well,
So that's
dude,
5 years
it's
ago the
2013
recession
right now,
started.
man. Think about it.
But like I was talking to a guy today when pumping gas, and the guy was saying when he was a kid, it was like a nickel for a gallon of gas.
Well, I like not a nickel, but it was definitely like probably like an old geezer then. But yeah, back in the day,
Yeah,
it
like
was a
this
lot
guy
cheaper.
was ancient. He probably helped build the pyramids or something. But
But like the only reason it's so expensive now is because like the government has like probably taxes over 75% of it, and
yeah,
we're getting our oil from such like a limited basis. Like we're only getting it from like a few suppliers, and they're monopolizing the whole industry because we're gonna be willing to pay however much we want because we're like cut off because of all the war expenses.
we spilt all our damn oil in the ocean.
Yeah, well, fucking, and
Like
then BP like made more money on the cleanup than they lost in the actual oil spill. So they're getting more money for doing the wrong thing, essentially.
it's all just a big scam.
Exactly, man. Like the government is just so corrupt nowadays.
Like I would urge everybody to just stay away from BP.
Oh no, not only BP, but stay away from anything that's run by like the government. Like
Oh,
stay away from like mailing things through the post office because they can search you that way, or like stay away from like always get uh unusable cell phones or reusable cell phones. Like throw away that shit because they're gonna be tracking you guys.
the government is just it's just a landmine waiting to be stepped on.
Like
Uh,
a very like argumentative topic is the Illuminati and whether they exist or not.
yeah, well, you know more about that than anybody I know.
Oh well, just
You could
like
go all
this
night.
summer I had way too
Let's
much
hear
time
it.
on my hands, and that's all I'd be researching about. But it's very clear that the Illuminati is present, but there's really no like clear-cut evidence because they do have known like traces of destroying all the evidence that they've left behind to try to hide the tracks of them ever like existing. But it's definitely very present in like the FEMA camps. There's like 600 fully operational FEMA camps that are completely empty that the government states that they're using just for purposes of state of emergency, but obviously that's not the case. They're going to use it for anyone who's trying to uprise against the government to detain everyone across America.
Oh,
Just the
so
whole Pentagon thing, because the hole in the Pentagon was definitely not big enough to be fitting a full Boeing B-57, whatever it was, jet, because the hole itself was 20 feet wide in diameter, and I'm pretty sure a Boeing jet is a lot wider than that. There was no
well, I have a
like
question for you about that
what.
whole thing. Why wouldn't that plane just come straight down on top of the Pentagon and do way more damage than it did, instead of taking such a complex route to hit the only reinforced part of the Pentagon?
I mean, it's funny that you say that because expert pilots who have been flying for 35 plus years have all came out and said that someone who basically almost failed flight school could not possibly make those dimensions and maneuvers in the most precise fashion as he did. There was no like marks of him hitting the ground before the Pentagon. He basically hit perfectly dead on. There was no way that someone who basically failed flight school could do that. So they were saying that maybe it was like a plane flown like by an artificial intelligence, or maybe it was like a missile from an outside source. But they're saying because they found, ironically, they found the passport of that terrorist who like all the terrorists who bombed the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. They found it like 4 blocks away from Ground Zero in New York City. So there's no way that he had his passport to get on the plane in the first place. So they're saying it was like an outside perspective. But if it really was a man who flew it at like a 357 degree perfect angle and like hit the Pentagon dead on, then he did it in the most ironic way possible because he hit the only part of the Pentagon that was reinforced. And I think that's more of an outside job than anyone could realize. That was definitely done by the government themselves. But people who love America will never ever come to terms to admit that the government's playing a cruel joke on them because they're too against the government doing any harm. They think, oh yeah, the government, because they do control us, are going to be doing what's best for humans. But you know what? They're just doing what's worse and only trying to help out the people in charge.
What do you think of this like election? Obama gets reelected here. One thing I can't stand is like people who loved Romney. They come out now and they bash Obama. Like, what good does that do? You know, like bashing Obama does nothing now because he's the president. You're not going to get him impeached because he hasn't done anything so radical to get himself impeached.
No,
you might as well support him. He is your president.
You know what? I didn't even pay attention to the election at all, just for the sole fact that I knew Obama was going to be elected again. Just for the sole fact because he put out a birth certificate that was arguably one of the most fake pieces of document ever, like, publicized to the basically everybody in the United States on the account of the president. Like, there have been multiple Photoshop experts who have told us that all the things are just misplaced. There are, like, many, like, video errors in it. So, like, him even being born in America is in question. So, obviously, him being elected in the first place was not just because he's a good political speaker. It's because he had, like, powerful people supporting him. So, he might be, like, a force of a higher being, like the Illuminati. But as for, like, the Romney supporters, you just have to do what's right for the government and, like, do what's right for the country. And just don't vote or don't, like, speak out against the government at all, because they're just going to come and get you, and it's just not worth all the trouble, because you're not going to, one person can't change anything. And even the view of, like, 2 million people in America isn't going to do shit against a president who's been in office already for 4 years, who is bound to do, like, many...
Well, that can be challenged. Like, you've seen the revolutions in Egypt. That started by one guy posting on Facebook that he didn't like the president, and next thing, because he was a dictator, and next thing you know, they have tens of millions of people protesting against this guy, and they get him out of office. They elect a new guy through a completely democratic system, and they've all voted on him, and now they're saying, oh, we don't like him either, because they think he's going to become a dictator, so they're trying to overthrow him again within, like, a year of overthrowing the last guy.
But it's completely different in America, man. Like, Egypt, it's like gung-ho over there, man. It's completely different. People can't just walk into the president's office and be like, I don't support what you're doing, because they have people who like, kill people at the source who are going to speak out against the president. Like, anyone who's, like, of political power is going to be threatened.
Well, in Egypt, they didn't just walk into, like, the president's office and be like, oh, well, I don't like you. You know, it all started on Facebook, because the guy was too shy to even, like, speak publicly.
Yeah, but, no, the government are looking out for people like that, even in America.
Of course, because the social media is so trackable now. But I'm just saying, like, I don't agree when you say that one person can't make a difference.
It's very unlikely for one person to make a difference in America. See, the probability of them making a difference in America is definitely way less than the chance of someone in Egypt doing it.
Well, don't even get me started on the difference between probability and chance.
Probability and chance, there is no difference. If anyone's wondering, if anyone has a discussion with their good friends about the difference between probability and chance, there's no difference, unfortunately. It kind of blew my mind and made me very sad when I realized that. But,
like, we did banter about the difference between probability and chance for a good month.
Yeah.
And we come to the conclusion that it is really the exact same thing.
Well, thanks to our math teacher who, like, confirmed it, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's a story for another day. That's
a story for another episode, guys, and this is just our first episode, one of many.
Yeah, whatever, sports car.
So wait, Joe Montana almost hit my aunt?
Yeah, almost drove her off the cliff.
No,
And then me and your mother almost died in Cianciani, as well as Aunt Maria.
Oh, because you were skiing, right?
Yeah, in Lake Tahoe.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Tahoe.
Boy, she went into a 360-degree spins. And there's no guardrails, and we're on a cliff road where you can't see down.
Sounds exciting.
So this wasn't actually skiing.
And there's nothing there.
You were driving, and then she kind of just like...
She was driving.
Who, my mom?
Skiing, and she's driving on this goat path of a road again in Lake Tahoe. And all of a sudden, she goes in a spin.
It's a goat
And there's
path?
nothing there to stop us. And we're all like, this is it. Was there.
This is the end.
It's been a nice ride, guys.
And the only thing that stopped us, you know what they, like the signs,
Yeah.
you know, for park, no parking, those
Street signs.
corrugated steel type things, thin.
Yep.
That's what stopped us.
That stopped the car
That stopped
From
the car.
going
Put a
over-
nice little U in Chuchiani's door.
from going over the cliff and
God.
killing all of you.
God,
Wait, Dad, I have a question.
all of us. The whole Nitro heritage would have been gone. TJ wouldn't have been here.
Oh goodness.
It would have been all crazy.
On that note, did you really almost date Bon Jovi's girlfriend?
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of
That
course.
one. She asked me to marry her 7 days before her wedding.
Yeah, that's.
That's really crazy. You got this wedding planned for a year, and
You take all of her money, right?
no, what's that? I should have. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of, yeah, whatever, sports car.
So wait, Joe Montana almost hit my aunt.
Yeah, almost drove her off the cliff.
Well,
No,
that
I.
sounds-
And then me and your mother almost died, and Chuchiani, as well as Aunt Maria.
Oh, because you were skiing, right? You were
Yeah,
going
in Lake
skiing.
Tahoe.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Tahoe.
Boy, she went into a 360-degree spins, and there's no guardrails, and we're on a cliff road where you can't see down.
Sounds exciting.
So this wasn't actually
And
skiing.
there's nothing there.
You were driving, and then she kind of just
She
like.
was driving. You know,
Who, my mom?
going skiing, and she's driving on this goat path of a road again in Lake Tahoe, and all of a sudden she goes in a spin,
It's a go
and there's nothing there to stop us. And we're all like, "This is it." Mother
it's
was there.
This is the end.
been a nice ride, guys.
And the only thing that stopped us, you know what the like the
Poles.
signs,
Yeah.
you know, for park, no parking, those
Street signs.
corrugated steel type things, thin.
Yep.
That's what stopped us.
That stopped the car
That stopped
From
the car.
going
Put a
over-
nice little U in Chuchiani's door.
from going over the cliff and
God.
killing all of you.
God,
Wait, Dad, I have a question.
all of us. The whole Nitro heritage would have been gone. TJ wouldn't have been here.
Oh goodness.
It would have been all crazy.
On that note, did you really almost date Bon Jovi's girlfriend?
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of
That
course.
one. She asked me to marry her 7 days before her wedding.
Yeah, that's.
That's really crazy. You got this wedding planned for a year, and
You take all of her money, right?
no, what's that? I should have. It's a lot of fun.